Good day, everyone, and welcome to our discussion of Module 8 in Ethics, Morality, and Conscience. Specifically, in this lecture, we will build upon the previous discussions on morality and dilemma. Remember that in the last set of discussions, we are clear about what morality is. And in this session, our main objective is for us to understand the development of values and the importance of conscience in building our values system. So going back to what we had discussed already, when we talk of morality, morality helps us to judge the difference between right and wrong. In the discussion on the norms of morality, we all agreed that in order for us to attain the ultimate good, as what Cicero had pointed out hundreds years ago, during the Roman era, to attain the ultimate good, it is important for people to take goodness, to receive goodness, and to pass on goodness. Goodness should be moved towards other people. It's not simply contained in ourselves. It has to be passed on. Morality is the human attempt to define what is right and wrong about our actions and thoughts, and what is good and bad about our being who we are. So, in this definition, by study.com, we acknowledge that as people, we can really create decisions that may lead for us to be considered good or bad, or that certain action can be labeled as rightful or wrongful. It is really important now that when we talk about morality, we also have to question what we really mean, or what is it meant by good. Gerard Betan, a British philosopher, said that the greatest good is for the greatest number. And this is highly aligned to what we have talked about last time. This is highly aligned to the ultimate good, or summum bonum, of Cicero. And it's really important that when we talk about goodness o ang pagpapakabuti ay hindi lamang natatapos sa ating mga sarili. Morals are shaped by social norms, cultural practices, religious influences. All of these have one way or the other affected our conscious view of morality. And at times, when we get to decide on certain things, subconsciously, no, lumalabas yung mga standards natin. Hindi pa minsan, kapag ka-presented ka with a dilemma, gaya ng napag-usapan natin last week, yung default notion mo ng kung ano yung tama at mali, pwede mo siyang i-attribute sa kung ano ang standards ng society in terms of the norms you believe in. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga pinapaniwalaan nyo, no, na tama o mali. Yung mga cultural practices natin, anong sinasabi ng kultura natin, at ano ba ang sinasabi ng relihiyon na pinaniniwalaan mo. Lahat ito ay nakakaepekto sa konsepto natin ng kung ano ang moral, kung ano ang tama at mali, kung ano ang mabuti at hindi mabuti. Ngayon titignan natin yung ideya din na yung relihiyon ba natin, does it make us moral? Now, Laura Schlesinger said that, is it really impossible? Is it simply impossible for people to be moral without religion or God? Religion is the foundation of the most of the a country's moral and values. Now, of course, depending on what religion you believe in, or who God or your concept of God is, nag-iiba-iba tayo paminsan, no, ng paraan ng pagpapakita ng mabuti. Pero ang hindi tayo nagkakaiba-iba, kahit ano ang relihiyon mo, is yung universal values na pinaniniwalaan natin. Again, when we talk of morality, ang relihiyon dito ay is not the end and be all of everything. There are people who are actually atheists or even agnostic who don't have a concept of God, however, still practice what is moral. Pero, ang sinasabi lang dito ni Laura Schlesinger is that religion presents a guide as to how you will now really take a look into the actions you committed or actions committed upon you. So, ano ang mabuti, ano ang hindi mabuti, depende yan, di ba? Sa relihiyon na pinapaniwalaan mo. Para sa ating mga Katoliko or sa ating mga Kristiyano, we have the Ten Commandments or the greatest commandments of Jesus na nahati lang sa dalawa. Love your God above everything else and love your neighbor as you love yourself. These are the same universal values being shared, I believe, now by most Asian countries. And in the Western, same din naman. Hindi naman nagbago na yung konteksto na yan ng pagpapahalaga sa ibang tao. So, napakaganda rin na tignan natin na yung moralidad talaga ay hinuhubog no, ng relihiyon natin. However, hindi lang end all and be all ang relihiyon. Kasi marami kang pwedeng pagbasihan ng kung ano ang moral, kung ano ang tama at mali, at ano yung mabuti at hindi mabuti. Okay? Now, another question that we have to really talk about is how culture now defines our context of what is moral. So according to David Breckenhoff and Lynn White, culture is the whole idea that provides a blueprint for living. It is a powerful force that lives in all peoples that tell us what is right from wrong. So, importante no na titignan natin kung paano naapektuhan no yung pinaniniwalaan nating mabuti at hindi mabuti ng kultura na pinabibilangan natin. Kung kanina pinag-uusapan natin na nakakaapekto ang relihiyon, mas lalo't higit na nakakaapekto yung kulturang kinabibilangan mo. I'll give you a very example of this one. Culture reflects the moral and ethical beliefs and standards that speak to how people should behave and interact with others. So, dito kasi, kung titignan mo na yung kultura talaga, no, pwede kasing sabihin din natin na relative. Minsan nagiging relative kung ano yung mabuti at hindi mabuti. Example, ngayon sa Pilipinas may existing tayong kultura, 'di ba, ng pagkain ng meat ng dogs. Okay? For some other countries, this is totally banned, no? Yung pagkain ng meat ng dog. And actually, namana natin to, I believe, no, sa mga Chinese. And in China, this is still accepted, no? As they see the meat of dog as something that is medicinal. Tayo naman sa Pilipinas, na ipasa yung kultura na yan. At hanggang ngayon, there are some people who still practice that, no? However, with the recent awareness no, about the laws and the rights also, 'di ba? May batas na nagpoprotekta na ngayon no sa mga aso at sa mga domesticated pets. So, ngayon hindi na no, medyo ano na tayo dito. Medyo half-hearted na. Naniniwala akong half-hearted na tayo no sa pagkain ng meat ng dog. Not unless hindi talaga aware no yung taong iyon or yung grupo ng taong iyon na bawal, no? Pinagbabawal na ng batas to, ha? At hindi na to katanggap-tanggap sa karamihan sa atin. So, again, ang morality, balikan ko lang, ha, ay pwedeng maapektuhan ng relihiyon. Yung kulturang kinabibilangan mo ay nakakaapekto din dito. Our culture affects, no, the way we behave, in that there are certain practices that we believe to be moral, okay, and ethical, because that is what our culture dictates. Now, when we talk of morality here, we as human beings, we are able to think about our behavior in order to decide on what to say and what to do in a given situation. This is what actually defines us among any other creatures, if you believe in creation theory. Or if you do not believe in creation theory and you're really into empirical data, yung kapasidad ng tao na mag-isip at pag-isipan yung ginagawa niya, yun ang nagpapaiba sa tao mula sa hayop. Kaya napakaganda na pag-usapan yung morality, eh. Kasi kung titignan mo, walang konsepto kasi talaga ng moralidad ang hayop. Okay? I'll give you one definite example of this. Ang aso, kapag na-trigger siya, no, to procreate, kahit saan yan, magpo-procreate yan. Pero ang tao, pag na-trigger siya mag-procreate, may standards and norms ng society na magsasabi na, wait, hindi kayo pwedeng mag-procreate dyan lang. Di ba? May standard of morality tayo nagsasabi na, wait, dapat nasa secluded area, dapat hindi to obscene, or dapat nga, no, talagang in between two married people lang. So may maganyan tayong standards. So yun talaga po ang nagpapaiba sa atin bilang tao. Ngayon, ang tanong, ano ang tawag natin or sa ethics, no? May iba-iba kasing classification din ng pagtanggap ng moralidad. Kasi nga, lahat tayo naniniwala, di ba, na naapektuhan ng kultura yung moralidad. Pero, may mga tao pa rin, no, na pipiliin na maging iba yung pananaw tungkol dito. So, tignan natin ha kung ano-ano yung mga klasifikasyon ng tao, no? Bilang nag-iisip dapat tayo, ha? Bilang nag-iisip dapat tayo ng mga ginagawa natin. So, gusto kong tignan natin to. An immoral person knows the difference between right and wrong. So, again, ang mga immoral na tao, they know naman alam nila, di ba, kung ano yung right and wrong. However, immoral people chooses to still do what is wrong kahit na presented na sila with what is right and wrong. They know it. They have been inculturated. They have been open, no, to definitions of what is right and wrong. However, they chose what is wrong. Immoral ka pagka ganyan. Pangalawa, ang moral naman na person knows the difference between right and wrong but chooses to do what is right. Tapos, may mga tao din na tinatawag na amoral. A moral person or amoral person has no regard for any standards of what is right and wrong and thus what he likes or she likes. Okay, so magkaiba ha, magkaibang immoral sa amoral. Immoral, alam niya yung tama at mali, pero pinili niyang gumawa ng mali. Ang amoral, wala siyang standard, meaning gagawin niya lang lahat. Okay, now balikan natin to ha, yung sinabi natin kanina, na ang tao, ang nagpapaiba sa kanya sa hayop, ay yung kakayahan niyang mag-isip ng kung ano ang ginagawa niya. Metacognition, no, ang tawag dyan. sa psychology or sa psychiatry na ang tao kaya niyang pag-isipan bago siya mag-take and dive into an action, dapat pinag-iisipan niya. So, makikita natin, no, sa lipunan natin na pwedeng ang nakakasalumuha natin ay taong immoral, taong amoral, at taong may moral standards. Pero, how can we now practice the ultimate good even if you're faced with people who chose to be immoral and amoral? So again ha guys, hindi natin ginajudge sila. No? It's important lang na malagyan natin ng konteksto ng labeling kasi nangyayari ito eh. At existing no, sa society natin yung phenomenon ng amorality. Hindi lang basta immoral. No? Naku, naririnig mo na yun for sure ngayon. No? Lalo at mainit ang debate sa FB, sa politika. So, one way or the other, no, you might have encountered no the word amoral, pero ito po yung ibig sabihin ng amoral ha. No standards at all and will do whatever he or she likes. Now moving forward, what would be now the role of values when we now decide on what is moral? Okay, so ano ba ang values? Ang values is really anything that satisfies our human needs. Okay? So pag sinabi mong values, ito ay lahat ng pwedeng makapag-satisfy ng human needs natin, no, bilang tao. Values are basic and fundamental beliefs that guide us or motivates our attitude or actions. Values, in a narrow sense, is that which is good, desirable, or worthwhile. In order us to understand values in its core sense, we have to discuss the different kinds of values. There are 4 types of values: biological values, psychological values, intellectual values, and moral values. For biological values, these are all the necessary needs of man in order for him or her to survive. So ano-ano ito? Pagkain, kalusugan, trabaho, damit, at of course, rest. Okay? Biological ito in nature dahil ina-address nito yung fundamental tenets ng buhay. Kung hindi ka makakain, mamamatay ka. Kung hindi maayos ang kalusugan mo, mamamatay ka. Kung hindi ka nakakatulog, mababaliw ka. Kung wala kang damit, no? Hindi ka makaka-function ng normal. Pag lumabas ka at nakaubad ka, hindi ka naman sasabihin ng tao na normal ka, no? And lastly, our work also, no, is a need. It's a biological need because that what sustains, no, our sanity, our needs also. Actually, ang work nagpo-provide siya, no, for all of our other needs. Kasi paano ka naman kakain kung wala kang trabaho? Hindi naman pwedeng manlimos ka lang. Or for some na nagiging ganun talaga yung buhay nila, hindi sa standard natin, no, of living, hindi siya nakaka-sustain. Okay? So importante, no, na sa biological needs, no, may trabaho ang tao. Now, looking into physiological values or psychological values, we're done with the basic human needs like food, shelter, clothing. Another need or values that we need now based on Albert Maslow's hierarchy of needs is what we call as psychological values or psychological need. A psychological or mental emotional condition is something that we all need and want. So, saan natin nakukuha yung psychological values or paano natin to binibuild, no? Yung belongingness and love needs at saka esteem needs. Okay, so importante no na tayo may kaibigan, may concept tayo ng family, dapat din nag-aaral. Bakit kailangan nag-aaral? Ang pag-aaral kasi hindi lang naman siya nag-aaral ka dahil mag-isa ka. There are social interactions, no? While you get to dive deep no in learning, and this is why your virtual class is important, no? As important as your online course or online class, because your social needs as a person is being addressed here in the virtual class. So also, ano pa yung pwede nating paghugutan no, ng belongingness and love needs? Nandyan na yung sexual intimacy and relationship, marriage, achievement, respect and reputation. All of these no, are psychological values and that it addresses both belongingness and love needs and esteem needs. Okay? Now, moving forward, we will also, of course, there's another type of value that we have to address. The next one, we'll talk about intellectual values. And intellectual values is developed as part of man's mental fulfillment, no? Such as our concept of truth, science, religion, all of these are being fulfilled by or through intellectual desire. So examples of these would be curiosity, your observation of things, reason and judgment, critical thinking, creativity, resourcefulness, your focus. Now, balikan lang natin yan dun sa sinasabi ni Albert Maslow no, na hierarchy of needs. Dito yan papasok technically sa self-actualization. So, balikan lang rin natin to. Bakit importante itong hierarchy of needs? Lalo na ngayon na may pandemya. So, in a time of pandemic, we cannot expect people no, to uh, prioritize first the esteem and belongingness needs without prioritizing physiological and safety needs. Okay? So nauuna yun, kaya yun yung unang values, biological. Okay? Hanggat hindi yan nasa-satisfy, hindi nakaka-move forward yung tao dito. Okay? And lastly, of course, kung hindi naman rin safe ang spaces or psychological spaces, we cannot really do this one, no, yung intellectual values. Kaya nga importante siguro no na makita natin bilang mga tao na ang pagpo-pursue or pursue ng reason and judgment, ng critical thinking, dapat na-satisfy na muna, no? Klaro tayo. Mahirap mag-isip kung gutom ka. Mahirap mag-isip kung ikaw ay yung psychological needs mo hindi siya na-address, di ba? So, yun yung kagandahan no, na pinag-uusapan natin to kasi nakikita natin yung what we value as people. But of course, hindi yan nag-i-end lang sa intellectual value. So, ang purpose talaga ng ethics class ay mapag-usapan natin, hopefully, yung moral values ninyo. Okay? That yung mga worthy principles that allow us to follow certain rules of what is right and wrong. No? These are being addressed by moral values. And that we refer this as good virtues. And that these virtues are considered worthy in building up the character of an individual. So, hindi lang basta dapat alam mo, no? Alam mo na kung ano yung tama at mali. Okay? Hindi lang basta dapat alam mo. Ang moral values is your practice na of what you know. Like for example, you know that it's important to be faithful, no? During your married life. And not only during your married life, 'di ba? Prior to married life, 'di ba? Bago mo pakasalan 'yan, dapat loyal ka na diyan. Hindi pwedeng hindi. Okay, kaya mo nga pakakasalan eh, kaya mo nga ginusto, 'di ba? That regardless of the flaws, regardless of uh, whatever it is na imperfection ng tao, dapat faithful tayo dun sa tao. Ngayon, kung hindi ka faithful dyan, anong tawag sa'yo? Immoral ba o amoral? Nakakatakot yung maging amoral tayo ha, na yung, no? Wala ka ng standards. Sige lang ng sige, hindi pwedeng ganun. Okay, kaya nga natin to pinag-uusapan because at least, no, as people, now that you are working and some of you are just studying, okay, or nagsa-study, hindi ko, mali yung just studying, sorry for that. You are studying or you're studying while working. Okay? Walang lang doon. Parehas yun na equally important. Okay? Pero, yun nga, that you're talking about this, we're all talking about this because there are a lot of decisions that you will make and you are taking right now, no? That needs clarification of values. Okay? Love and respect for family members, love and respect for your community, love and respect for your country. All of these are moral values and that this requires practice. It's good that we talk about this here, but it's also good, no, to see this being practiced by you. Okay? Now, ano ngayon yung role ng conscience? Okay, so pinag-usapan natin na may apat na types ng values at nakakaapekto ito, no, sa concept natin ng morality. Pero ano ang role ng conscience, no, sa moralidad natin? Ang conscience is a part of you that judges how moral your own actions are and makes you feel guilty about bad things that you have done or things that you feel responsible for. It's an inner law. Moral conscience urges us, no, as a person to do good or avoid evil. It even judges his particular choices, past, present, and future, and shows God authority. So, iba-ibang tinitignan natin dito na konsepto ng conscience ha. Yung last is yung concept natin according to our religious affiliation or religious belief. No, may conscience dyan. Pero at the most basic of what conscience is what guides you. Kung tama ba o mali ang ginagawa mo. Okay? So, in everyday decision, kahit hindi ka religious, or kahit hindi ka nagpa-practice ng faith mo, okay, or wala kang konsepto ng faith, meron at meron na magsasabi sa iyo, imposibleng wala. Kasi yan ang nagde-define sa tao eh. Okay? Na mayroon siyang conscious will, no, na magsabi na, ito ang tama, ito ang mali. Eh kung tinatanggal mo yon, nagiging amoral ka. Imposibleng wala, meron at meron yan. 'Di ba? May judger. Gusto ko yung term na judger. Merong nagja-judge, no? Sa utak natin. And at times, we become very self-critical. Okay, kaya nga importante na we listen to that, pero we also reflect metacognition ang tawag doon, no? Thinking about thinking or thinking about what we think. Now, conscience, according to the second bullet point, it's an inner law. No? Moral conscience urges a person to do good and avoid evil. So, by avoidance to evil or doing good, pwede nating balikan yung boses na yan. At pag yung boses na yan, sinabi sa'yo na mali or nakakabagabag yung ginawa mo, alam mo, syempre, hindi yun mabuti. Okay? Now, moving forward, Alexander Bain, no, said that conscience is learned. Okay. Ganda nitong konsepto na to, no? Yung conscience daw ng tao, natututunan yan. So, paano yun? I do not know if you have watched the viral video, and thank God he has been convicted to this. Naalala niyo yung binaril? Sorry ha, baka ma-trigger kayo dito, pero I have to point this one out because this is a really practical application of this. Naalala niyo yung binaril na mag-nanay over a discussion, no? Nagdi-discussion lang sila and meron tong meron silang previous, no, na naalitan. Pero dahil nga nakainom na yung anak, no, na-trigger yung police, tapos naalala nyo nandun yung bata. Tingnan nyo kung available pa yung video na yon, no? At kung napanood nyo yung video na yon, tingnan nyo kung paano yung bata doon na anak ng police, no? Paano niya trigger din yung binaril at yung tatay niya na barilin yung mag-ina. Nakakalungkot kasi pag naaalala ko yung video na yon, it just proves that really conscience is learned. Walang remorse dun sa bata kasi ang konteksto na ifinid sa kanya ng magulang ay tama na pumatay ng tao. And walang gulat dun sa bata kung papanoorin mo yun. No? So, again, kung hindi kayo comfortable, please do not search. Pero there are existing things like this. No? That's my practical example. Nakakalungkot kasi natututunan ng mga bata kung ano yung ginagawa ng matatanda. At minsan, nagiging moral compass nila kung ano yung pinaniniwalaan ng matatanda na tama at mabuti. Importante na minomodel out natin, no, bilang mga matatanda yung mabuti at tama. Kaya nga tayo nag-uusap tungkol dito eh. Kasi hindi dapat ito magtapos sa lecture. Ito ay dapat makita sa inyo. Ito ay dapat na pinapractice ninyo bilang moral value ito eh. So, I'm saddened by this, no? When I get to reflect also, no, on this lecture. According to Bain, conscience is shaped by education, law, and authority. And Benjamin B. Woolman's Dictionary of Behavioral Science define conscience as the individual's set of moral values which was thought to be innate by theologians but is now believed to be learned. So, again, ang konsensya natin, that voice, no, that we hear on a daily basis, learned yan. Ibig sabihin, nung bata ka hanggang sa tumanda ka, no, may conscious decision ka na pwede mong i-reframe yung boses na yan eh. Okay? Habang ginajustify mo yung mali, yung boses na yan, sasabihin din yan sa'yo, ayan na yung tama. Kapag sinabi mo na pagnanakaw, or pag nagnanakaw ang tao ay okay lang, kasi may nagawa naman, habang nire-reframe natin yan sa utak natin, magboboto tayo ng magnanakaw. At okay lang magloklok ng magnanakaw. Pasensya na kung I have to take a stand on this. Because also, this affected me so much when I get to see my students, no, graduated, have learned so much, but still chooses, no, to not, hindi lang to vindicate eh, mali yung vindicate. Yung hindi natin i-acknowledge na mali ang pagnanakaw, nakakatakot yun. Kagabi, if I may just share, there was this one student over Twitter, and he's not my student, thank God. Thank God, he's not my student. Who said that hindi daw dapat natin totoo nga naman daw na nagnakaw ang mga Marcos. Pero, kung magnanakaw daw, dapat yung may pagmamayabang. So, pinagmayabang niya lahat ng mga nagawa daw, no, during Marcos time. Sorry if this is a little bit political, but I don't want you to see the politics in it. What I want you to see is we have to point out yung moral ground natin, no, bilang tao dito sa example na to. I pointed out to that person that when we talk of pagnanakaw, kailanman hindi naging mabuti ang magnakaw. At nakakatakot to kasi ito yung sinishare ng kabataan na okay lang ang magnakaw kasi may pagmamayabang ka naman. Which is wrong. Mali ang logic na yan. Hindi yan tama. At wala tayong dapat ipagmalaki sa pagnanakaw. Dahil ang pagnanakaw, gaya na napag-usapan natin sa mga previous lecture, the end doesn't justify the means. The end doesn't justify the means. At pag nagnakaw ka, mali yun. Hindi pwedeng ipagmalaki yun. I end my point on that. And I hope you get what I mean. Now, it's also important because we're really heightened ang debate sa FB. And when you partake on it as a discourse, please do not engage with trolls. Okay? Piliin ninyo. Take a stand on certain issue but do not engage with trolls. Okay? And how do we become more kind or kinder, no? In that virtual space kasi nandun ang diskurso ngayon. I think it's important that when we speak or when we share things, it's important to ask, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it true? Yung nakita ko ba sa FB, nabasa ko ba sa FB, nakita ko sa TikTok, napanood ko sa YouTube, totoo ba yan? Anong sources? Saan nanggaling? Okay? Kung valid siya, saan ko pwedeng i-fact check? 'Di ba? True. Huwag mag-share ng misinformed na video. Huwag mag-share ng misinformed na article. Pagka nakita nyo yung title, basahin nyo. Minsan kasi satirical yon. Ang mga satirical, hindi palagi makatotohanan. Ha? Yung mga political satire, utang na loob, pinagsishare. Nakakainit ng ulo kapag ka nakakakita ng ganyan. Estudyante, nagsishare ng satirical na ano. Tapos, okay lang mag-share ng satirical. However, ang mali dito ay you, no? You embrace it as truth. Okay? Because you know very well that's a political satire. Helpful. Helpful ba na i-share ko siya? Helpful ba na sabihin ko tong stand na to? Okay? Will it help someone learn a certain thing? Will it help someone gain truth? Okay? Sorry if I'm a little bit preachy. Medyo empathic ako dito kasi ito yung nagkalat na lahat. Everyone wants to share in Facebook. Ang tanong, helpful ba? Okay? Third, is it inspiring? Okay? Is it inspire? What does it inspire? Okay? You react on a post that is, will it inspire good or will it inspire bad? You ask yourself. That you're the best person, no, to actually think about it. And will it be necessary? Kapag ka ba hindi mo shinare, pag hindi ka nag-react, hindi ka nag-engage doon, meron bang nagsasabi sa iyo sa kaibuturan ng iyong puso na, teka, mali yun or tama yun, kaya dapat ko siyang i-share. Kapag ka nagde-decide ha, tignan nyo muna kung necessary ba siya. And lastly, is it kind? Is it kind? And kindness at times would mean that we really go back, no, to our intentions of posting, sharing things. I'm using the example in FB because we have been confined, no, as individuals to really interact over social media. Wala may pandemya. Pero sana, ang general rule ko lang dyan, mga anak, ay ganito. Yung hindi mo kayang sabihin sa face-to-face, huwag mong sasabihin sa social media platform. Yung kaya mong sabihin directly sa tao, face-to-face, sabihin mo siya, i-share mo siya. Okay? Ngayon, kung nagtatago ka lang sa FB or sa FB post mo at kunwari matapang ka dun, kunwari tama ka dun, alam mo, kalokohan yan. Alam mong, sorry for the term, kasi iba yung bobo sa tanga eh. Minsan, ang tao, presented na by facts. Pero pinipili pa rin natin na, no, na isa walang bahala. Ang tawag dyan, amoral. Okay? Wala akong problema sa kung kahit na sino ang iboboto natin. Pero sana, huwag tayo mag-spread ng misinformation. Because what you do in FB, no, is being seen by children. There are a lot of students na sobrang bata pa, no, ito nakikita nila sa mga feed nila. At parte kayo ngayon, no, ng pag-create ng pagmomold ng mind ng mga bata na okay lang kahit hindi naman okay, na mali ginagawa nating tama. I'd like to end this with that when we talk about morality and conscience, it's really good to ask ourselves, our voice matters. And what kind of voice do we believe in? Do we listen to? And what kind of voice do we offer? For references for this lecture, you can find it in the last slide. I'll be sharing the slide later, no, after the session today. God bless everyone.